things I think while I lie awake and contemplate tonight are wearing me out. Well, maybe tomorrow the world will wake and get it right, but I have my doubts, yeah. So during the day, well, I design machines of war that scream through the sky. 'Cause I, for one, I like to go to bed free at night under these stars and stripes. And I have my doubts that we're coming out. Yes, I have my doubts. And I have my doubts that we're making back out. Yes, I have my doubts. But they'll wind you up and pull the cord until you're spun right out. And I don't understand. So roll the dice and raise the price to feed the machine's mouth. Call it the progress of man. Yes, I have my doubts. And I have my doubts that we'll make it back out. And I have my doubts. So I'll drink my stuff and raise some hell and shoot my guns to the end of my time. You can have the booze and go to hell and take the guns, but I know they won't be mine. And I have my doubts that we're coming out. Yes, I have my doubts. And I have my doubts that we're making back up. I have my doubts. So we're all messed up and out of touch. Let's text someone who's in the other room. So don't wonder why we don't say hi or know anyone. I might as well move to the moon. So maybe I'm wrong. Well, I hope that I'm wrong. So maybe I'm wrong. Well, I hope that I'm wrong. Well, the things I think while I lie awake and contemplate at night.
Good afternoon, evening. It's kind of unusual for me to be starting at 6. Wow. So sorry about missing the first couple of hours. No, that does not mean I'm going to go until 10 tonight. Ain't happening. I am wore out. It has been an insane day. It really, truly has. One thing to another. I didn't get the drone until kind of late in the afternoon, and by the time I got a battery charged and the controller mostly charged, the sun was already setting. So I had the chance to get out there, get a short little video, and that was about it. I didn't even take it very high, take it very far, because that little thing seemed like it was getting battered around up there pretty good by the wind. So, but no problems. I mean, it didn't give me any problems at all. I do have a little bit of video I'm going to show you, and I can tell you that throughout the flight that at no time did I get any warnings about interference or low signal or anything like that. I could have most definitely pushed it harder, further, but I didn't want to on the maiden flight, and with the winds being kind of kicked up a little bit. So I'm hoping when I get up in the morning that maybe things are a bit calm up there, and I want to try it again. I want to try to get it back up. Try to get it to, instead of 200 feet, I want to take it to 300, 375, something like that. I don't want to get too close to that 400-foot ceiling. I do want to respect the drone laws, so I don't want to get too close to that 400-foot ceiling. Not only that, but we do have a hospital that does. Well, they generally keep a med chopper there, and so I want to be able to deal with that in case it's going in or out. So I figure if I keep it down, 375 or below, I should be good. So I've never seen him come in that low, so should be good. In fact, he's probably got rules that says he can't come in that low unless he has to. Anyway, like I said, it did great. It just, like I said, I didn't get in until late, very, very late in the afternoon, and then we had a whole mess to deal with Jen's phone. That was kind of a nightmare and a half, but no, it is what it is. It would be like me just handing all of you a MacBook and saying, here, figure it out. I have to admit, I was even pissed off, and it wasn't, it wasn't me. If somebody were to hand me an iPhone and tell me use it after being told that they don't like iPhones, they like Android phones, specifically Galaxy, I'd be pissed. Extremely so. I've said a number of times to Jen today, iPhone users are much like vegetarians, right? Number one, they're going to damn well let you know that they're a vegetarian or an iPhone user. And then the next step is they're going to try to convert you. I look at Android users as more like the libertarians of phones, right? Android users could give a damn less what anybody else is using as long as they're allowed to use Android. So, I mean, it kind of sounds humorous, but that's truthfully the way it is. And I guess, I don't know if it was her brother that got him to try out an iPhone, and now, it's a cult. Plain and simple. It is a cult. So, anyway, Jen has no interest in an iPhone. So, fortunately, after activating the SIM card, I was able to take the SIM card out and stick it in her old Galaxy S7, and it works. So, good deal. But, it is what it is. Like I say, I wouldn't do that, especially to Jen. It takes her a little bit to catch on to new things, and, that was like, I don't know, just uncalled for. Anyway, I'm not going to go on and on about it. It's very frustrating, though. It's frustrating for me, and it's not me. You know what I mean? I have no interest in learning how to use an iPhone so that I can teach Jen to use an iPhone. And I think that's maybe where I'm pissed off in the whole deal, because I avoid them. I don't want to touch them. I don't want to look at them. I don't want to even... I have that much of a hatred for Apple. If you knew what I knew, you probably would too. if you knew about how they lie, how they overrate, how they, how they do business. Horrible company. Horrible, horrible company. But anyway, I could rant about just that one company forever. But anyway, let me go ahead and I'll show you this video. I'm going to go back into the full view like I do the intro videos here. That way you guys can get a little better look. I did not shoot in the 2.7K. I shot in 1080p 60 frames. I'm going to play around with it, see what I like best. So this is, like I say, this is shot in the 1080p 60 frames. So see if you notice a little difference in between this. Oh, wow, my volume's down. See if you notice a little difference in this and the video I showed you from the Potenzic D58. Should see a smidge of difference here. And this video here is completely unedited. I didn't do anything. I uploaded a copy to YouTube, and that's it. I didn't edit it. I didn't color correct. I didn't do anything. And that thing, like I say, it was getting battered around up there pretty good, and you can't tell it. That camera is just so steady. I was thoroughly impressed with this thing. Thoroughly. In fact, tonight, probably before real long, while I'm playing one of the longer videos, I'll probably be going through the apartment and turning the lights on so I can see. And I'll probably be putting the prop guards on it and flying it around inside a little bit so I can get a little more used to the controls. But you can tell that it's already much farther than when I took the D58. Much, much further. So, and like I said, I never got a warning other than strong wind warning. I never got a warning. So I could have just kept going and going and going and going. It just blows my mind. It truly blows my mind. And I normally wouldn't have I wouldn't have even paid that much for something, but it's the perfect solution. The thing is so small. It is so light. It's relatively quiet. It's got absolutely everything that I was looking for SHTF security purposes. Actually, yeah, you should have seen the camera pan down. Yeah, see, here's another spot where where I pan the camera down a little bit. So, and then when I come back towards the sun, I actually bring the camera down that way because the sun's just blaring everything out. So that one is the kit I got's what they call the Fly More kit, and they're selling that kit for $499. You can just get the basic drone kit for $399. So I'll show you the difference in the two here as soon as this is over with. I figured it was better off going ahead and going with the Fly More kit because, well, you'll see the difference in what you get. It's pretty substantial. You save a ton of money by going that route. And this is I had with the D58, I was trying to show you this roundabout, but I was so afraid to fly it very far because I would lose that connection. And so that's why I didn't want to fly it very far. And this one, as you can tell, I don't lose. It glitched up a little bit, but I had buildings between me and the thing. And it still kept connected. Even though the video froze a little bit here and there, when there was a building in between me and it still kept it. I was really shocked. Really, really shocked. You can actually see me standing down there with the helipad, so. Takes a little getting used to. And it automatically, when you tell it to land, or when it goes into landing mode, it automatically swings that gimbal forward so it doesn't damage the camera. I did not even notice that until I watched the video. I thought that was pretty cool how it did that. Let me get this over here. Let me show you the difference. Now, this is the company where I got mine from, because they actually had them in stock. Nobody else had them in stock that I could find. So this is what you get with the Flymore kit. You get a case, you get prop guards, of course the drone and the remote. This is a 3-bay hub charger. It will charge 3 batteries at one time. It will also allow you to charge another device, like your phone or your controller or whatever you may need to charge. It actually works as a power bank as well. And then it comes with the 3 batteries. Okay, so that is all that you get in the Flymore kit. Just the Mavic Mini, which they, believe it or not, are actually back ordered on. Most other places, it's the other way around. You can get the that is a good question. Give me a second and I'll show you. Real quick, I was going to... they don't say what... But they don't have a picture of what comes with the... with just the basic. But I can tell you. The basic package just comes with the drone, the remote, and 1 controller. That's it. And 1 battery. So, a little bit of a difference. That $100... that's the 2 batteries alone. And then you get a hub charger, a case, prop guards. So, like I say, you save a considerable amount of money if you're wanting all of those things anyway. So, yeah, you charge it with USB. And with the Flymore kit, they actually give you a smart charger, one of the intelligent chargers that can go up, I think, to 18 watts. You actually get that with the Flymore kit. That was the other thing. I don't even think that was in the picture. Wait a second. I don't even think that was in the picture, but you do get it. Yeah, it's not in the picture here, but you do get it with the Flymore kit. And I'll tell you what, that is one hell of a charger, because I watched it charge up these 3 batteries pretty quick. So, but as far as the phone compatibility, Mavic Mini... And that is a good question, because there have been many people that have bought these and then gotten very upset because their phone, even some of the newer phones, was not compatible. So, Compatible list. So here you go. On are you, first off, are you Android or are you Apple? Well, somebody was asking what phones were compatible. Okay. So the Androids that it is compatible with is, we'll start with the older stuff first. The Galaxy Note 8, the Galaxy Note 9, the S6, the Galaxy S6, Galaxy S7, Galaxy S7 Edge, Galaxy S8, and the Galaxy S8 Edge, I believe. They've got that there. Oh, the S8 Plus, sorry. And then the Galaxy S9, the S9 Plus, the S10, and the S10 Plus. So that's the Samsung ones. Let's see, Huawei. I doubt any of you got Huawei's. I doubt you got Xiaomi or Xiaomi. As far as OnePlus, it'll do the OnePlus 5, the 6T, and the 7. The Google Pixel line, it'll do the original, the Pixel 2, the Pixel 2 XL, and the 3 XL. LG, it will do the G6 and the V20. And then as far as Crapple, it will do iPhone 6, iPhone 6 Plus, iPhone 6S, iPhone 6S Plus, iPhone 7, iPhone 7 Plus, the 8, the 8 Plus, the 10, the XR, the XS, the XS Max. See, this is one of the reasons I don't like Apple. The 11, the 11 Pro, and the 11 Pro Max. Right? Come on. But yeah, so it is kind of limited on the devices. You're probably not going to be able to use a Walmart Straight Talk Android phone if you bought a cheap Straight Talk phone. You know, they do require some of the better phones, some of the more expensive phones. So, yeah, there's not a lot, and there's a lot of people that have been extremely pissed because they went out and bought a DJI Mini and their phone won't work with it. So now I do expect this compatibility list to grow, and I expect it to grow quickly. There is a lot. I downloaded, the day that I ordered my drone, I went ahead and downloaded the DJI Fly app into the back end of my phone just so I could kind of mess around with it, look at it. And last night, I even had an update on it and on the app. So they are constantly updating. When I fired the drone up today for the first time, I had to update the firmware on the drone twice. They've got a big update, from my understanding, coming in December for the firmware, a pretty significant update, which I'm assuming is probably going to add a lot more features. But I'm going to be going through and doing not only content, but I'm going to be doing, videos with information about these. Because I'll tell you what, anybody that knows me knows that I am absolutely not a fanboy of much of anything. I'll tell you what I think. I'll tell you what products I stand behind. Some people might look at that as being a fanboy, but I look at it as just researching. That's what I go by. I go by the hard numbers. And, that's why I like AMD processors. That's why I like NVIDIA graphics cards. That's why I like Android phones, specifically Samsung Galaxy phones. They're the ones that are holding the torch right now. Now, next month, if Motorola came out with a phone that made Samsung Galaxy look like crap, guess what? I would be saying, you know what? Motorola's the way to go. Get the new Motorola. That's the way it is. And in fact, before Samsung started coming out with the Galaxy lines, I was all over the place. I was like, okay, HTC. Nope. before HTC, Motorola, So that's what I go by. I go by what's good, what's quality, what's worth the price you pay. And, this is one of those things that I don't do aerial photography. I don't make money by doing aerial photography, so I can't justify $1,000 or $1,800 or more for a drone. I can't justify that, not whatsoever. Can I justify $500 for a drone? Yeah, I can. You've seen the video. Could you not be able to tell what's going on around your general area with that thing? That's worth $500. I would say that Jen and I's lives are worth $500, and that's why I wanted a drone. Because if we need to go somewhere, and you'll see, I hope tomorrow I can take it out a distance. You'll see. We'll be able to utilize this to be able to go, a fair distance to check out our surroundings, to check out our path, to see what's going on with 3 batteries, and that's why it was important. I've got 3 batteries for the D58, and why did I want 3 batteries? Well, because I wanted the ability to be able to go check something out, and if I needed to, bring it back in because my battery was low, slap another battery in it, and take it right back out so I can check out whatever it is I need. So that's a very important thing, to be able to have enough batteries to be able to cover that. Now, the plus side of, say, this Mavic Mini versus, say, a D58 is the D58 uses what they call a brushed motor, okay? So not only are their lifespan limited, because any brushed motor is going to have a limited lifespan, but when you bring that in, let's say you take it up, you deplete a battery in it, you bring it back in, you need to let that drone set for an absolute hardcore minimum 5 minutes. Pardon me. I would say 10 minutes would be a little better, because you have to let that motor cool down. If you don't let that motor cool down and you take it right back up, you're probably going to cause some damage to it. Something like the Mavic Mini, or some of the more expensive even Potensic drones, right? They've got brushless motors, AC brushless motors on them. So you don't have that issue. I can take this thing up, run a battery out, land it, immediately slap another battery in it, and take right back off. Don't have to worry about that. The longevity of the motors are a lot better. They hold up really well. And in due time, when companies start releasing stuff, you're going to be able to get the motors relatively cheap. So it's not going to be something that's super expensive. I always recommend, when you're doing this, that you have spare parts, because you're going to need them at the worst time, the absolute worst time. That's when you're going to need spare parts. So it's a good idea to have them. And like Potensic just started listing the motors for their D58. So, and I do plan on getting a set. I do plan on getting a set of 4 motors for it. Like I said, that drone's not going to just sit and collect dust, but it just doesn't have the capability that I needed. It just doesn't. I need to be able to get out a little bit further, and I need to be able to do it without being in pristine conditions, right? I even contacted Potensic. I sent them a video. I took a video of a screen capture video of my phone as I took the thing straight up from the ground, and it lost its connection. And their response to me is, well, that looks about normal for that environment. So it's like, okay, I'm not saying Potensic's a bad company, but we're talking apples and oranges here. And so at that point, I decided, you know what? I'm just going to build my own, because that way I know what I'm putting in it. I know what its capabilities would be. That's the way to go. Didn't get even started on that project, which is a good thing. Didn't even get started on that project because I've got the other projects going on. And And then fortunately the decal deal came in. I was able to do it, and it was perfect timing. And this does exactly what I need. I mean, down to the wire of what I need. And it's small. I mean, it's perfect. It truly is perfect. But anyway, you're gonna see a fair amount of content come out where I'll be doing drone shots and stuff like that, because now I can. Now I actually can. So I actually plan to do some pretty cool stuff when I get the chance. So anyway, let me go over some headlines for you, and we'll go from there. It's not the typical normal monologue, and it's definitely not the typical normal day. So kind of is what it is. I didn't put out news over the weekend just because I was busy dealing with other stuff. So hang on here. Okay. Let's see. U.S. to launch new media network to provide China diaspora. Is that even a word, diaspora? I've never heard of it. Can't be a word if I haven't heard of it. No, I'm kidding. Anyway, U.S. to launch new media network to provide Chinese diaspora or something with alternative news, says a report. Pentagon chief fires U.S. Navy chief over SEAL scandal, says Gallagher to keep his Trident pin. Trump taps ambassador to Norway Braithwaite to replace Navy secretary fired over Gallagher scandal. Aliens, is that you? Mysterious fireballs streak across the sky in Oregon, leaves cops scratching their heads. Hong Kong, part of China, and no one can mess it up, Chinese foreign minister says amid opposition gains at community level election. Mega investment, Germany's BASF launches $10 billion petrochemical project in China. Mr. Assange could die in prison. There is no time to lose. Over 60 medics in open letter to UK government. That's crazy what is going on with Assange. Absolutely mind-blowing. Let's see. Is this the way to prevent the rise of the machines? Tech experts unveil new AI design method. California restaurants sue Berkeley over natural gas ban. Oh, I love this story, by the way. I'm old but tough. 82-year-old grandma bodybuilder beats home intruder with table. Like, not even, she picked up a table and whooped his ass. I mean, that's the way to do it. China boosts purchases of soybeans from Brazil amid U.S. trade deal uncertainty. Cross our red lines and be destroyed. Iran's elite IRGC chief warns U.S., Israel, and Saudi Arabia at large pro-government rally. Don't shake it off. Jolting your head to clear water trapped in your ears could cause brain damage, new research finds. Let's see. We did not boycott U.S. firms doing NSA scandal. German minister defends move to include Huawei in country's 5G network. 18-year-old girl seriously injured after setting herself alight, on fire that is, in French high school. That's crazy. That's crazy. And after she lit herself on fire, she jumped out the window. Yeah, first story window, but nonetheless, set herself on fire and jumped out a window. 18 years old in a high school. The reason why I'm focusing on that is because I've said it now a million times. We are going to see more and more and more of this. This is for some reason, I haven't figured this out yet, but for some reason, certain people get it in their head to light themselves on fire in protest. Now, I don't understand it. I really don't understand it. I completely understand protest. I completely understand anger. I understand rage. I even understand the need to fulfill that rage. Okay? I get that. Luckily, fortunately, I've always had enough control, self-control, not to give in to that. Okay? But not once have I ever thought about dousing myself in gasoline and lighting myself on fire. No. No. I don't see that. No. I don't know what flips in somebody's mind to make them accept going out like that. Not to pin a song, but I don't get. I mean, that's probably one of the strongest statements a human being could make. Truly is. And maybe that's why they do it. Saudi Arabia condemns Trump administration's move to legalize Israeli settlements in West Bank. He's trained to attack. Trump warns journalists to keep quiet during White House event with dog who helped kill al-Baghdadi. Protesters attack UN peacekeepers, torch mayor's office over inaction after deadly militant attack in Congo. A worldwide web creator wants contract for the web, but crowd-pleasing solutions backed by big tech leave many questions. And believe me, before it's all said and done, they will get control of the internet. And when I mean control, everything you see, everything you're allowed to access, they will be controlling it. They've already got the ability now to control it, and they are to some extent, but just wait. It's coming. There's nothing that's going to stop it. Judge City's impeachment and extreme national concern to order Pentagon and Budget Office release files that are going public anyway. And I do see a number 1 up there. Let's see. Treat him like an Australian citizen or journalist. Pamela Anderson pleads for Julian Assange with Prime Minister Scott Morrison. So there you go. There's some headlines for you. I got a video here. We'll go ahead and just start out with it since it's right here in my email. Video from Bear Independent. I am going to switch back down, though, on my video quality. Otherwise, I'll lag the computer completely out. Anyway, Bear Independence, the channel. The video is titled, Why We Left Texas.
Hey guys, it's Bear, bearindependent.com, you know. I want to talk to you guys today about why I left Texas. Why do I live in Oklahoma now? I get this question a lot, in person and in the comments. And you know, it's much better answered in person because the comments are not really the place to have an intellectual conversation with somebody because there's a lack of nuance and context, and it's hard to give enough specificity to where it makes sense. So I could tell you that my family has been in Texas, parts of it, for longer than anybody watching this video has been alive. For longer than anybody's grandma here has been alive. There has been my DNA somewhere in Texas. I could tell you that it was all the damn Californians that moved in around Dallas, North Dallas, into that area. There's a list. I could tell you it's the school system. At least our local school system. I could tell you that it's the state government making divorced fathers pay for their children's sex changes as part of their medical responsibility to their children. But I'll just tell you this. There were so many things that just stacked up. And then in a very short period of time, 2 kids got hit by drivers on our road. Now, I understand the irony that some would say, you know, well, aren't you talking to a cell phone right now while you're driving? Yep, I am. I'm on a backcountry road, and I'm looking predominantly at the road. But whatever. 2 kids got hit by drivers on our road at the same intersections, one to the left of our house, one to the right of our house. We lived in a suburban neighborhood. That people constantly blew through these stop signs. 1 kid lived. 1 kid didn't. And I told my wife if that ever happened to one of our kids, she'd be out of a child and a husband, because I don't have the self-control to not beat the ever-loving piss out of somebody if they do that. To this day, people who roll through stop signs still just get me. They get my dander up. That was the straw that broke the camel's back. We knew we had to move, and we looked everywhere for a piece of land in North Texas that we could afford, and we couldn't find one. We couldn't find one. We found this land in Oklahoma. It's a homestead. Good-sized piece of land. Houses, wells, creeks, barns. For $70K less than what our 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1/3 of an acre, fallen down house in North Texas was appraised at. Our budget, we could not touch land in North Texas. Not even another house in North Texas, to say nothing of a piece of land. I mean, the cheap land is going $10,000 to $20,000 an acre. We paid under $150 for our 20 acres with houses and wells and barns. We couldn't do it. And we scrimped and we saved and we prayed and we cussed and we liquefied our assets and we sold everything that we didn't need it, or threw it out, or got rid of it, or gave it away to be able to make it here. Because in large part, we were called to leave North Texas. And in large part, history is stories of people moving from a less ideal place to a more ideal place over and over and over again. And for us, Texas was untenable. And so it pisses me off when people are like, you should have stayed, Bear. You should have made something happen. You should have been the change that you wanted to see in North Texas. Why am I going to die on that mountain? Why is that my fight? It's not my fight. My fight is first and foremost for my wife and my kids. And everybody, people whom I still love today, and people who I have lost all respect for as of today, who were our friends in Texas. Their fight was for their own wife, their own kids, their own family. Because it's too hard to get by there for a lot of people. It was too hard to get by there for us and have anything left over to pour into anybody else. Hell, we barely had enough left over for ourselves at the end of the day. So, yeah, we left. It was untenable. This is Positions of Strength 101. Now I'm in a position where I can be a blessing to other people because I'm good now. The Republic of Texas needs its patriots because it's not as Texas as it thinks it is anymore. You know, and there's a part of me that wishes I was still there so I could do something about it. But I'm not. I'm where I have been led to be. And believe me, I tried to find land in Texas. I couldn't. I tried to find land in Arkansas. I couldn't. So we found land in eastern Oklahoma. And I knew the moment I set foot on this property that I was where I was supposed to be. Because I was convicted by the Most High the moment I stepped out of the truck. And so from an outsider's perspective looking in, having 100 plus, 150 years of blood, sweat, and tears of my family spilled on Texas soil, I've seen the writing on the wall. I've been to the hill country. I've been to San Antonio. I've worked so deep in South Texas that I had to go through border patrol checkpoints going to and from my job sites every day. I've worked in West Texas, North Texas, East Texas, the Panhandle. I'm not there anymore. I'm not supposed to be there anymore. And I can see the writing on the wall. I've been able to see the writing on the wall for a good long while in Texas. And so I really hope Texas gets its shit together. I really do. And there's a part of me that wishes I was there to help. But I'm not. And I can't be. But what I can do is bloom where I've been planted. And so that's what I intend to do. So short answer is Texas for us became untenable. Maybe that'll change one day. There's a great man who is fond of saying, do the best you can with what you got where you're at. And that is what we were trying to do. Shalom.
Alrighty. Let's see. You get scrolled down here. I was laughing at the name of one of the Prepared Minds videos. I'm telling you. Let's see. And I figured that, you know, I have subscribed to several drone channels. So we'll probably throw in some of that content. In fact, I'll throw one in now. This is a channel called 51 Drones. It's titled DJ Mavic Mini, and yes, a lot of them are doing videos on the Mavic Mini right now because it's the new kid on the block. DJ Mavic Mini, 5 surprising test results. And again, this is a channel called 51 Drones. Found a lot of cool channels out there for drones.
Hi. So when I set out to make this video, I had 3 things in mind that I wanted to check out on the Mavic Mini. Number 1, I wanted to see if it would carry the Osmo Action. Number 2, I wanted to see if it could hold a Lume Cube and fly with a Lume Cube on it. And then third, the most important thing that I wanted to check out is visual line of sight distance. How far could I fly the Mavic Mini before I lost visual line of sight with unaided vision? And so I tested those 3 things, but in the meantime, I found a couple of other interesting results. So I wanted to let you know that I'm going to put timestamps down in the description. So if you want to skip ahead to a certain part of the video, you can go ahead and do that by clicking on those timestamps. And then the other thing, everything that you're going to see in today's video, all of the products that you're going to see and that I talk about, I'll have links for those in the description as well, in case you're interested in what I'm using. So enjoy the video. Hi everyone, thanks for clicking on the video today. So the other day when I did some testing with the Mavic Air, the Mavic 2 Pro, and the Mavic Mini, I asked you all for some suggestions for future videos regarding the Mavic Mini. And so I've taken some of those into consideration. I'm going to test a couple of things today. Now, It's really windy out again today, and so instead of ruining my audio, I'm just going to sit in my pickup for this. But I got the Mavic Mini sitting right there, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to check a couple things that you guys have asked for. Number one, which is kind of weird, you asked for the payload capacity of the Mavic Mini. Y'all want to know if it can carry this or if it can carry that, and so I'm going to test that out a little bit today. Why? I don't know, but we're going to check it out anyway. Number one, a lot of you are asking if it can carry a Lume Cube. A Lume Cube 2.0 is what I have here today. So we're going to mount the Lume Cube right on top of there. And then I'm also going to put the Osmo Action on top because some of you were asking for that as well. And again, why? I don't know, just to see if you can do it. So I'll put the Osmo Action on top of there. That's what I'm using right now to record this. And then I'll use the Osmo Pocket to see how that steadies it. And then one final test that I want to do is a lot of you are asking, what's the visibility as far as line of sight? Because the Mavic Mini is so small, you want to see if you can keep it within line of sight. And it's a cloudy day, so it's going to be pretty difficult to keep it in line of sight. And so we're going to see how far away I can get it and still see it. So let's get to the testing. Hey, welcome back to the channel, everyone. If this is your first time here, my name is Russ, and this is 51 Drones. This channel has a lot of stuff about drones, drone-related stuff, technology reviews, tutorials, comparisons, things like that. And so if this is your first time here, go ahead and browse around the channel, see if you like what you see, and if you do, click on that subscribe button. Also, if you get anything of value today, click on that thumbs up button. So it's very windy out today, like I said, so I'm going to do this from inside the pickup mostly, but we're going to get the Mavic Mini up. We're going to put on the Lume Cube first, and I'm using hook and loop. Now, the reason I'm doing that is I don't want to put like a GoPro mount or anything on top, because I want to try to keep the profile as low as possible. I think that's going to help a little bit as far as it maintaining balance. It's pretty windy out today, and so it's going to struggle in the wind, let alone carrying this thing right here. And so let's do that first. Now, because it's so windy, I may be doing a little bit of voiceover here because, you know, I'm not going to be able to talk out there. You guys aren't going to be able to hear me. Even if I would use my lav mic, still going to be too loud. So let's see how the Mini handles the Lume Cube first. And just as I thought, I'm going to have to do a voiceover here just because the wind noise was so terrible. Now, if you decide to do this and you get that hook and loop stuff, the Velcro stuff, don't get the Velcro brand just because the 3M brand is so much more strong. So if you're going to do it and use hook and loop, get the 3M brand. Now, the first thing you're going to notice here, when the Mavic Mini takes off, the wind just takes it, and it actually scared me. I was a little bit concerned because the wind just took it. I thought it was going to keep going, but it actually, after it got position, I was able to kind of take control, and then it started to move forward. Now, it moved forward very slowly, but at least I was able to get it back to near the landing pad. And as you can see here, it actually held pretty well. You know, the wind was shaking it around a little bit, but I moved it up and down just to see if it affected the dynamics at all. But, you know, kind of a hard test to tell in this kind of wind. But overall, I think it did pretty well. Okay. Wow. That little guy handled the wind and the Lume Cube very well. So very impressive. So if you want to fly at night and you want to have some illumination, you can certainly put a Lume Cube on top of here. Like I said, I would use that hook and loop just to keep the profile low. I think if you get it up any higher, it's going to mess with the center of gravity too much, but maybe not. I don't know. So next, what I want to try is to put the Osmo Action on there, which is right here, what I'm recording with. And then I'll do some recording with the Osmo Pocket and see how it handles the Osmo Action. I think it's a little bit heavier, but I think it'll do okay. So I'll just get a little bit of footage with it. Like I said, I don't want to stress it out too much. I just want to see if it'll be able to lift off. And then I want to see what the footage looks like when I hit record on the Osmo Action, just to see if there's any wobble or anything like that. So let's head out there in the wind and check this out. So once again, the wind decided to have its way with the Mavic Mini, having that Osmo Action on top. I think it just added a sail, and it takes off right away, but then it finally gets positioned and I can control it to get it back to where I launched from. Now, I had it at full throttle and it didn't move. It was completely stuck in the air. So I just kind of had to turn it a little bit, kind of yaw a little bit to the left and to the right. And then I was able to control it, but a direct head-on wind, it did not appreciate that at all. Now, here's some footage straight from the Osmo Action sitting on top of the Mavic Mini. And then here's some more footage of me going around it. You can see that, you know, it's struggling in the wind, but I think for that additional weight on top, it's really not doing too badly. And then here's some more footage from the Osmo Action sitting on top of the Mavic Mini. You can see it's tilted a little bit, and obviously due to the drone fighting against the wind. Now this is a crosswind. The wind's coming from the left-hand side, and so, but I think it did pretty well considering the conditions that it had to fly in. Wow. Okay, so here's the verdict. I wouldn't fly too high with it. I wouldn't go too far, but it certainly works. You could certainly fly with the Osmo Action on top of the Mavic Mini. Now, here's the thing. I use this hook and loop, right? So it actually came unstuck from the bottom of the Osmo Action. So that's another reason I wouldn't go too far away with this, because if your Osmo Action flies off, you're not going to be able to find it. And I think the reason that this came off so easy is because it's so cold. It's, what is it, 38 degrees right now, and which isn't bad. I mean, it's not freezing, but you know, this is pretty stiff. It's not quite as sticky as it normally would be. So the hook and loop part certainly is going to stay together, but as far as the stickiness on the bottom of the Osmo Action, probably wouldn't trust that. But I don't know. I don't know. It was worth trying to see if it would work, and it does work. It does fly. And so what I want to do now, finally, is I just want to get the Mini up in the air. And even though it's windy, I'm not going to fly too far away because I'm not going to be able to see it very far just because of the cloudy sky. Anyway, I'm going to fly the Mavic Mini up and see how far away I can get it before I actually can't see it anymore. Now, I have 20/20 vision, at least the last time I checked a couple of years ago. So, you know, take that into consideration. If you have poor vision, if you have aided vision, it's going to be different. It's going to be different for everybody. But just to give you an idea how far I can get before I lose line of sight. All right, so let's get it up and see how it goes. All right, I'm just going to set the Osmo Action up here on the dash, so please excuse the steering wheel in the way. And the audio is not going to be great either, so I apologize for that. But let's get it up and see how far away we can get. You know, when it first takes off, it really struggles with that wind, but once it gets its position, it holds pretty well. It's drifting a little bit. It's drifting. Well, now it's not drifting at all. So check it out. So anyway, I looked on the phone. It's 20 miles per hour right now, sustained winds, and gusting up to 30. So pretty impressive in the wind. This isn't a wind test, but it's sitting at about a 30-degree angle, so it's having a little trouble. But anyway, let's fly out here. All right, I'm going to keep my altitude pretty low because, you know, I'm getting up. If I get up even above 25 feet, I have it full throttle and it's not moving. So I'm just going to go forward here. I'm going to stay about 25 feet high and see how far away I can get it. You can see on the screen there right now, I have it on full throttle and it's going 3 miles per hour. It's holding still right now. I still can see it though. It's a little black dot. We're coming up on 700 feet. All right, I can just barely see it. At 1,100 feet, I just see a little tiny speck in the sky, and I'm at just over 1,100 feet away. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and turn around and we'll bring it back. It's gonna come back pretty quick. Let's see what our maximum speed is here on the way back in P mode. It looks like 18. I'm gonna go ahead and put it into sport mode. Here's another test. Let's see what we can get. Sport mode with 20 mile per hour sustained wind at our back. (28, 29), about 29 miles per hour. Awesome. All right, so go ahead. Let's go ahead and land. right, so there you have it. This thing continues to impress me so much. So it can handle the payload of a Lume Cube, yes. So if you want to fly with it at night, even though you're not supposed to, like I'm not supposed to as a Part 107 pilot, I would need a daytime waiver, daylight waiver. So I can't fly it at night. But if you want to fly it at night, you can with the Lume Cube on top, and you can fly it with the Osmo Action on top, but I wouldn't go too far and I wouldn't go too high just because of the risk. Now, if you wanted to try it with a mount, like using a GoPro mount or the Osmo Action mount, you know, you're still going to have that sticky stuff on top to have to adhere to the drone. Again, I wouldn't trust it, but you know, if you're just going to be flying, you know, maybe 10 feet in the air, 15, 20 feet in the air, and just try to get some 4K footage with your Mavic Mini, you could do that with the Osmo Action and probably with the GoPro as well. So it handled it. I would be interested to see how it handles it when it's not this windy out. I think it probably would do a lot better. And then also with some warmer temperatures would be very beneficial as well. And then as far as seeing it with the naked eye, unaided, just over 1,100 feet, and I could see a little tiny dot in the sky. So as far as line of sight, 1,100 feet is pretty good. I mean, really, there's no need to fly beyond 1,100 feet anyway. And then the speed test, which I didn't intend to test, I'm finding that I'm testing things that I don't intend to, but I got up to almost 30 miles per hour in sport mode with the wind at its back, about a 20 mile per hour wind. So that's pretty cool. One more thing I want to talk to you about today is one more thing that you should consider getting if you're going to fly at day or night. One thing that's really going to help with the visibility. I'm not going to test it today. I will test it in a future video, but the Lume Cube strobe right here is just amazing. It improves the visibility both in the day and the night. So I do have that hook loop on the bottom, hook and loop, and then I'll have it just snaps right on the top of your Mavic Mini, just like that. And then your strobe right there. So the Lume Cube strobe is amazingly bright. You can see it from up to 3 miles away. And I would definitely recommend getting this, especially for the Mavic Mini. The Mavic Mini is going to be able to handle it. Obviously, it's so light. And if it can handle the Lume Cube 2.0, it can certainly handle the strobe on top of here. And it doesn't mess with your dynamics at all. Anyway, I hope you got something of value today. If you did, click on that thumbs up button and keep watching for future videos. Subscribe so you don't miss anything. Click on the bell so you get notified when I do post a new video. I want to thank you for watching the video today. Have a great day. And as always, fly safe and fly smart.
Alrighty. Yeah, it's pretty capable. It really, truly is. Okay, got a short one from the Prepared Mind here titled A TPM Short, A Strange Curiosity.
Hello everyone, and welcome to a Prepared Mind short, and I'll keep it very short. I do my videos every day and I have my own private research that I do, but I kind of ran into something that was a bit of a curiosity. There's some things that kind of happened, coincided, and I wanted to share them with you. There's a time in human history when things are hard. Man, it's not rare. Things are hard all the time, right? But at this time, the rich were wildly rich. The poor areas increased, right? Alcohol, drugs, prostitution, crime were rampant. Sound like a particular time that you know of and may experience? This curiosity is about a time when powerful nations They sought international control of third world nations and their resources. They did by hook or by crook everything they could to get control. Sound like any time that you're familiar with. There's a curiosity about a time when socialism, or rather communism, was becoming threatened. The people were starting to clamor for it. There was open violence in the streets. Fights between communists and police, law enforcement, became public, out in the public street for everyone to see. And national leaders feared removal. Much like Tsar Nicholas was removed by communists, and his family murdered. His daughters were impaled. There's this strange curiosity that there's a time when the powerful, the elite, were caught in sexual depravity. Cover-ups followed that. Murders followed it. Bungled investigations. Does that sound familiar? Right? And the result was a push for the status quo to continue. In other words, nothing should be changed. We're just going to sweep it all under the rug, hope it all just passes and blows on by. Well, you might think that I'm talking about the modern US, China, European struggle empirically, and that the one percenters, the rich, are getting wildly rich while the poor get poorer, and that elites, right, they're being caught in sexual trouble, like reputedly, supposedly Hillary, but definitely Bill, right? How about Anthony Weiner? How about Jeffrey Epstein? How about Prince Andrew, right? We've got all these powerful elites around the world getting caught. Politicians, yeah, in this era, yeah, they're a bunch of perverts. And I don't mean that they just have private lives, but rather they do some things. Prince Andrew and Epstein and Clinton, through his associations, both Clintons rather, even their daughter, who is a proponent of pedophilia. These people are definitely sick. And so when I said this is a curiosity, it's because I ran into this in another time frame. In the 1880s, the robber barons. That's when people like the Rothschilds and Rockefellers, the Carnegies, were making money at incredible rates. The rich were incredibly rich. Industrialization of the world was just going rampant, much like our modern technological revolution is going rampant. And the people are being left behind, and the rich, the elitists, are doing what they want to get all they can, and socialism is being threatened by the people. But back then they had the same thing. Yes, in the 1880s, long before Tsar Nicholas in Russia fell to communism, there was a threat in jolly old England of socialism, communism, people fighting in the streets with police. You bet. London at that time was the biggest city in the world, the most powerful and wealthy at the same time, had tremendous amounts of social problems. There was wealth was being gobbled up. Alcohol, drugs, and prostitution were the order of the day for poor people. Right? There was open violence in the streets. Crime was out of control. And something else happened at this time. Jack the Ripper in the 1880s, in just a couple of months, did what he did. But there was, it appears there was there were murders going on, bungled investigation, perhaps. It scared the hell out of everybody. There was a cover-up, possibly. Royal intrigue having to do with Jack the Ripper. But all the same elements, not just Jack the Ripper, but all of these other elements existed then, just as they exist now. I'm not saying there's a connection between now and then. I'm saying there's certainly a curiosity there, though. Just something to think about. The problems we're facing today are the same problems that have always existed. And the consequences of actions taken can result in shit hitting the fan. That's why we need to be prepared. I'll talk to you again very soon. Enjoy, think about it, have some fun with it, and we can learn from history past and hopefully shape a better future. Chance favors the prepared mind. Is yours.
Alrighty, let's see here. Let me go ahead and give you this one. I think this is a I think this is a great idea. This is looks like Chris and John. Of course, Chris is Angry American, and John is the one that needs all the decals. So, anyway, the channel Survival Dispatch. The video is titled $100 Get Home. $100 Get Home Bag Build.
Hey guys, John Faulkner here with Survival Dispatch, and always the big, angry American.
Not so big anymore.
No, you're looking good, bro.
Down like
Looking
40
good.
pounds. Man.
Nice. So, all right, through the tens of thousands of people that watch us on YouTube, follow us on Facebook and Instagram, I think one question gets asked more than any question.
Yeah.
And that is, how can I put together a small, inexpensive bag that's able to help me, in a short get home
yeah.
situation.
I work 10 miles from home.
Right.
What do I got to do?
So here's what we did. Nikki and Chris and I went on Amazon, used the old fingers.
That's it.
And we put together a pack. And this is it. It's small. It's something that you could put in your office, under your desk, in a drawer. Under the seat of your car.
I was just saying, in your daughter's, son's cars, your wife's car, mom's car.
And
and
it's just a small little pack. The pack comes from Roaring Fire Tactical, and like I said, every item that's going to in here, you can get on Amazon with the link in the description. So you can put this kit together, and when we put this kit together, it was $99.
Yeah.
So everything you're going to see here. Is under $100, so together. So, and it's a battle too. It's a trade-off.
Yeah, we had to make a lot of choices and decisions, going through this thing. This is not the comprehensive bug-out bag, inch bag, I'm never coming home. This is designed to help get you from wherever you may be to home, and that's not a terrible distance, but that has the potential of you being called out overnight.
Yeah.
Maybe.
And there's only one category that's kind of missing in here, and that's food. We didn't put food in here just because people are so specific. Allergies or just taste and likes and things like that. So there's no food in here. So that'd be the only thing that you have to put in here, and most of that should just kind of come straight out of your pantry. Or some simple stuff.
Yeah, Cliff Bars. That kind of stuff. Stuff that you can eat on the move. Don't need cooking would be your best option here.
So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna start with the bag. First of all, it's a small shoulder strap bag. This shoulder strap does come off, and it's got a nice Velcro area in the back. I kind of like this. This little Velcro area right here holds the whole strap, so you can keep it nice and tight when you want to put it like under your seat or something. The strap isn't getting caught everywhere. And nice stitching, and it's a bag that it does its purpose. It'll hold a good amount of weight. It's got some extra MOLLE if you wanted to add some water pockets or water bottle pockets or something like that. Bigger, multi-tool pack, anything like that. You can add it to the outside. But what we're going to do is we're going to dive into the items, kind of talk about the different categories that we covered. And this is a bag that you guys have really asked for. So here we go. I'm going to let Chris open it up. I'll go through the specs of everything.
We're going to start back here with the biggest item, really. This is the biggest footprinted piece here.
Yeah.
And that's your shelter sheet.
Yeah, so this is a UST survival blanket tarp.
Yeah.
So it's got grommets in the corners. It's got the Mylar on the back. On the other side, it's orange, so it could be used for signaling as well.
Yep.
Keep you warm. It's big enough that Chris and I could get under it and make a shelter. And it's one of those things where, once again, we took trade-offs here and there. We could have easily gone with a really cheap Mylar, thin
Just
Mylar blanket, just a space blanket,
which would be destroyed the first time you used it.
Yeah, it probably rip, tear. It's hard to. It can be done, but it's hard to make into a shelter. You can put rocks in the corners and tie them, but any wind, it'll usually rip. And what we wanted was a bag that was robust enough to last a night or two if need be and get you home. So it has items that are able to be used more than one time in there.
Correct.
So starting with the UST Survival Blanket Tarp 2.0.
And then this is one of my favorite pieces of kit. I used to get laughed at a lot for this until people started kind of realizing it. I mean, not only can you mop your forehead and whatever you can use it to collect food if you're out wandering around. You can use it to tie an impromptu bandage if you need to. You can tie this thing around your leg and walk through tall, wet grass in the morning.
Yep.
Collects water.
Collect water.
So, you know, bandana has a zillion uses.
Pre-filter.
Pre-filter,
water.
yeah.
Yep.
You know, use it even to wipe out stuff, clean things up, like your kit, your mess kit here. We're going to show in just a second. You know, use it as a washcloth even.
And if you're my grandfather, you blow your nose in it.
Yeah, and put it in your pocket.
Yes.
I never understood why people want to keep that.
Thing ever.
Yeah.
It's the grossest thing ever.
And then to go with our shelter sheet, of course, we've got
10 feet.
10, huh?
10 feet of paracord.
That's all that is?
Yeah.
Looks like a lot more than
I
10
know.
feet. But 10 feet of 550.
So I mean, with these two options, you can get an A-frame, you can get pretty much anything built.
Yeah, you can shelter up.
So we got shelter covered here and a bandana. Next item.
So next item is our little cook set.
Yeah.
This is the Stanley 2-cup cook set, but in this configuration, we're using it as a 1-cup cook set. And if it was me, I would even ditch probably the other cup. But this thing opens up, handle snaps over, which is kind of nice.
Keeps all the contents inside.
And that, come on. What's it be misbehaving for now? Come on, there it goes. The handle on the side, so you know, over the fire, you can kind of get this thing off, not burn yourself. It does come with a lid, which is nice. Yeah. But we took out one of the plastic cups that are in here. I'll show you, and threw our Life Straw and our Sawyer Mini and our Sawyer squeeze bag in there. So it also has just a plastic cup in here as well.
Yeah.
So this is kind of nice if you're boiling water. You can dump some off. You can have a drink. You know, whatever. But this is your water system.
Yeah.
This is how you can get water. So you can filter water here. We also have the straw for the squeeze in this front pouch. So here's this too as well to get down there and get water. But you know, you can fill this thing up, squeeze it in here if you need to. You can boil water in here. So now we have two methods of
redundancy, just in case something were to happen to the filter, if it were to break because of cold weather or anything like that, just get plugged even.
Yeah.
Still have a way to boil water. I mean, if you had to, and you know, this is really made to be a short term, but I mean,
very short term.
You could make char cloth in this if you needed to.
If you needed to,
you know.
Well, and you can use your squeeze bag to carry water too, because you find a water source, you can fill this thing up, you can put your filter on it, and as you're walking, you know, you can squeeze it and filter water. So this is also a method to carry water.
Yeah, so you know, we got a cook set here. We can boil water, do all kinds of stuff with it. A nice little stainless steel cup, and then a Sawyer Mini.
And then we go into fire. So we have what is it? A
5-pack. It comes with. We put 3 of them in there.
Yeah, there's 3 of these little mini Bics. So we got 3 little mini Bic lighters in here. Why 3? Well, 2 is 1 is none, and 3 is for me. So these things will start hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of fires, along with some Tinder Quick tabs.
Yep.
So now we have fire covered. That allows boil water, cook food, as well as signal. And there's nothing like that fire as a companion.
Yeah.
When you're outside.
It's a morale boost.
When you're outside at night, you know, it was kind of funny. The class we just did, we're sitting around there at night, and we got a fire going, and it's kind of quiet. And I'm just looking at the fire, and I'm like, oh, I love this show. And one of the guys went, what? I'm like, Bush TV, man, I love this show right here. This is a good one. And they just started laughing. You know, people don't think of it, but when you're out there,
that's what you got.
Yeah.
And it can also help. I mean, if you were to get wet, dry clothes, you know, keep away from hypothermia, you can match it up with the tarp, you know, and get it around and be able to warm yourself up.
Mount this thing, it'll lean-to behind you, build your fire in front of it. Now you have a reflective wall heating both sides of you. So this gives you a lot of options. And again, like you said, this is a very basic kit, guys. This isn't designed to run away from home in. It's designed to have in your car and to be able to have some options should something happen. And then we threw a compass in there. Now, this is a skill a lot of folks are lacking. Everybody should learn how to use a compass and exactly what it's for. It sounds real easy, needle points north, but learning to navigate utilizing one of these and what all they can do for you. But if
and what declination means?
What declination and what is declination? What is the declination this year?
Yeah.
So some things to look into, but there's a compass here. You can do a little studying on it, but at least get you headed home. If you're somewhere and you're like, well, hell, I know I live on the east side of town and I'm not sure which way east is, you can whip this thing out and be like, oh, okay, east is that way. So it's pretty easy to sort that out. And then as far as tools go, we've thrown in a little inexpensive, but capable multi-tool.
Gives you a blade, it gives you pliers, some Phillips heads, a little saw, file,
can opener. There's all kinds of stuff in here, but it gives you a blade, which is the thing. You know, you've got a knife in here. It's right here.
Yeah.
So I would sharpen it up, but you know, and I know a lot of people are gonna look at that and be like, oh, I'd never get that thing. But you know what? We went and spent a weekend in the woods with absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
I would have.
We would have died for
I would have done a lot just to have this thing right here with us.
Yeah. After 48 hours of saying, can you pass me the good rock?
Yeah, that or where's the good rock? Well, the good rock broke. Oh, damn, we got to go make another good rock, you know?
So, yeah, it's just multi-tool, but that gives you a blade. And listen, this could also be, your EDC should be a companion to this kit as well, but this is if you had nothing, you know.
Yeah, yep. And then, you know, on the food end of things, we did throw in a little
fishing kit.
So,
and multi-purpose too.
Yeah, this has other items in it as well. So you've got line in here if you had to sew something up, clothing-wise or whatnot. You know, and almost all of us live near a body of water, or you're going to pass a body of water. And if you had to spend the night out overnight, you know, if you can just put up your hooch near a body of water, well, hell, now why not fish? So you can catch something, you know. But it's just a way to augment that with some food. So.
And then last but not least, we just got a little boo-boo kit in here. Yep.
This isn't a trauma kit. This isn't a blowout kit. This isn't chest seals and tourniquets. This is just a boo-boo kit. You know, you're going to get cuts, scrapes, maybe blisters, something to that effect. This will let you take care of that. You
know, and it's one of those things where infections can come, you know, cut your arm or something on some rusty bob wire or something. You know, an infection could really feel the effects of it within 48 hours.
Oh, absolutely.
So, you know, 24, 48 hours. So if it was just a 3-day hike home, you know, I've seen fingers on the trail and stuff, like sausage fingers just from a little cut that got infected, things like that within 24 hours. So, you know, anything that happened to your legs, feet could really slow you down.
Well, your feet in particular, you know, we take this for granted. 90% of us don't walk very far every day. We walk out to the garage, jump in the car, drive to work, walk out from the car to the office, do whatever. And that footwear that you're probably wearing to work isn't going to be designed for a trek home. Yeah. So you very well could end up with some hot spots and blisters and stuff, and just having something like this to help mitigate some of that is a good idea.
So that's the contents. It all fits in the bag. There's still a little bit of room in there, like I said, so you guys could put some lifeboat rations or Cliff Bars or something like that in there.
Yeah, the only other thing I would like to see in here, which we, you know, like I said, we had to make trade-offs.
Yeah.
Flashlight.
Yeah.
But that should be part of your EDC. You should have one of those anyway, and you just add it to this and go. But I mean, you know, here we've got food, water, shelter covered, and fire.
Yeah,
navigation. We're, you know, medical even to a little small degree. So you're pretty well covered with this. Again, for a short term, especially if you're like urban or something, you know, this thing here, you don't necessarily have to pitch as a shelter.
Right.
Lay this thing on the ground, lay down on top of it, pull it over you, go to sleep, get up in the morning, fold it up, get back to moving again. You know. But it just gives you some options. So
yeah. So if you guys are interested in, you know, putting this identical kit together, click the link above. Everything will be in there. And like I said, as we're filming this, it was $99. It could go up or down, you know, $1 or $2. It could go cheaper even. Yeah. You know, that's how Amazon works. So, but all these items will be in one location, so you can make this bag a clone, you know, within seconds. And like I said, there's still extra pockets. It's a great little bag from Roaring Fire Tactical, and you know, they contacted us and were like, hey, would you be interested in just checking out a bag? And I wanted their small one because we usually start with a bag that's too big, and that's the biggest thing.
And then what do we do once we have a bag that's too big?
We fill it.
We try to fill it.
You know, and if we're talking, you know, 20, maybe 30 miles even to go home, you don't need a 60-pound ruck.
No.
You know, it might be 1 or 2 nights out. Make sure you have a little bit of food. Make sure you can get water, and you should be good. So,
should be good to go.
You know, and this doesn't take into account things like clothing and things like that, you know, which is your first line of shelter. You should have that in your car or be wearing it based on what the season is. So.
Oh, there's even another zipper pocket. Yeah. We're going to utilize that. So there's another pocket we didn't even mess with. But, you know, another really good purpose for this bag would be those people who you're trying to convince they need to get a little bit ready. Yeah. You make some of these up and start passing them out as Christmas gifts, birthday presents, that sort of thing, and people get the stuff and they start looking at it, and then they start thinking, you know. And then they're going to come back and start critiquing you about, well, why didn't you put this in my bag? Well, now you're thinking, you go out and get your bag squared the way you want it.
And it's the same with, you know, like Chris said, if you have a family member that's kind of just, maybe a wife, you know, or a husband that just, if you give them a big, huge ruck, they just look at you like they're crazy. They only got to go 10 miles. Like they even look at you like you're crazy. But something like this, man, you can just throw in the trunk of a car. It'll fit in even some glove boxes of trucks.
You know? And this thing may be short of the lighters, which you could probably even get away with. A kid could put in their locker at school. You know? I mean, there's no blade. Well, other than this,
the multi-tool.
The multi-tool could be an issue. Maybe strike that if you've got school-age kids. But if they're in university, even this probably wouldn't be a problem.
And this is small enough, light enough that I mean, a 7-8-year-old could
carry this all day long.
carry this,
Yeah.
no problem at all. So,
Absolutely.
so yeah, so if you guys are interested in buying this, like I said, click the link above. It'll all be there for you. We hope this kind of answers your guys' requests that we've had a ton of. If you have any other questions or comments with regards to this kit, feel free to leave them below. We'll be around the next couple of days to answer them. And until next time, be safe.
Yeah, there was a reason I wanted prop guards, because, yeah, that thing's fun to fly in a house, as in not easy. Let's see. I'm going to go ahead and do this one from Boa the Fifth Column, because it's kind of on the same subject. Boa the Fifth Column's got a video titled, "We Talked About Emergency Preparedness."
Hurricanes, wildfires, earthquakes, blizzards. There's something in your area that can happen very, very quickly that you're going to need to be prepared for. As you probably know and have seen with your own eyes from the last few major natural disasters, help doesn't come immediately. It takes time. How long it takes depends on your state and how good your state agencies are and your local agencies are. Because the federal agencies are pretty much worthless. Now, that's excluding DOD's efforts. Everybody else, they'll get here eventually. But you need to have yourself covered for a few days, depending on the type of disaster. Because they're not going to be here right away. Now, here we are a week into it. I've still yet to see FEMA. I saw one Red Cross truck. The only federal agency that I have actually seen was Border Patrol, and they were getting out. They were leaving. We are not the sons of the pioneers and the daughters of Rosie the Riveter anymore, because we're not going to fix the problem ourselves. We're going to wait for somebody else to do it. Wait for government, Big Daddy government. The pioneers, right? That's what we like to cast ourselves as. We're Americans, the sons of the pioneers. Are we anymore? Or have we had it so good for so long that we've forgotten what that is? And we've become afraid of everything. Everything. If government could help, if government could really solve the problems, I wouldn't be running supplies in from 30 or 40 miles away. You can't count on the government response. You can't. In fact, some of the things that your government agencies may do will make it worse for you. Putting together a kit, a bag for emergencies is something that every family should do. It doesn't matter if you're a soccer mom or you're an ex-ranger. You need to stay up to date and you need to have your stuff together. And this is for everybody. This isn't for survivalists. This isn't for preppers. This is for everybody. It doesn't take long. It's not a big process. We're not talking about building a bunker and preparing for doomsday. We're just talking about enough to survive a week or two until things normalize. Okay, so the first thing, water, most important thing. Okay, I would say 2 gallons of water per person per day. However long you expect to be without help. And I know people are saying, no, well, you don't really need that much. You can survive on a lot less. You can. You can survive on a lot less than that. However, you're going to want to cook. You may be able to flush your toilet if you dump water into it. You may need to clean a wound. You may want to wash your hands. You're going to need water. Get gallon jugs, or if you have, like a Culligan thing at your house, get some extra 5-gallon things. Keep it on hand. People think that, I've got a case of Dasani at the house, that's enough. It's not. It's not even close to enough. You're going to burn through that so fast. Make sure you have water. Aside from that, you can also get tablets to purify water. You can get filters, which are really cool, like the Life Straw or the Sawyer. Food. Now, when you think emergency And food, you think MREs, meals ready to eat, used by the Army. Do you need those? No, of course not. Get canned goods, get rice, get things that last a really long time, that are things you wouldn't normally eat, and that they have a long shelf life, because then you can put them in your pantry and they'll stay there, because they're not really, you're not going to be like, ooh, I really want to eat that. No, it's just going to hang out. That way you have a backup food supply. And again, you're not looking for the tastiest thing in the world, you're just looking for something that will keep you alive and that is easy to cook. And because you're doing that, you also need a can opener, a first aid kit, a good one. Okay, not the blue box you pick up at Walmart that says 153 pieces and 148 of them are different size Band-Aids. If it can be fixed with a Band-Aid, it probably would have fixed itself on its own. Then you also need your meds. If you are on meds of any kind that you have to take regularly, you need a supply of those in this bag, because pharmacies aren't going to be open. And then obviously if you have pets, you need food for them, their meds if they need any, water for them as well. Fire, and fire includes a flashlight, and you need to know how to build a fire. You need lighters, you need fire strikers, that type of thing. Matches, waterproof matches would be great. Then you need shelter. You need to assume that the structure you're in is going to be damaged. Okay. Tarps, if you don't want to go out and spend a bunch of money on a tent, tarps or those little Mylar, the silver blankets, they're not great, but they work. A knife, a multi-tool, like a Leatherman or something like that, and you can even get a cheap one. It's got a knife on it, but it also has pliers and a can opener. You know you're going to need that. It has all of those other things, a Swiss Army knife. The last thing is a battery-operated AM, FM, weather would be great, radio. The internet's going to be down. You're not going to get reliable news except through the radio. When relief does come, you're going to find out about the pickup points to get supplies via the radio or from somebody else who has a radio. Go ahead and get your own. Make sure you have plenty of batteries for all of this stuff. People say, I have all this stuff in my house. That's great, but after the hurricane or the earthquake or whatever, are you going to be able to find it? Keep it all together. Beyond that, you need an evacuation plan. You need to know where you're going to go, and then you need a backup for that evacuation plan. In addition to all of this stuff, anybody that's going to use it, anybody that's part of the plan, needs to know what the plan is. You need to know where you're going to meet up in a secondary location in case you can't meet up at the first one. Then you need to have the evac location, the place you're going to go to if you can't shelter in place, and then a second one. And everybody needs to know about this. If you have this stuff, you're able to help other people because you're already taken care of. And in a situation like this, it's just your community. This is being on an airplane and putting your mask on before you put the person next to you, before you help them put their mask on. Just take care of this stuff and you're going to be able to help people. There are people who will come to help, but the more self-reliant you are, the less stress you're putting on them, because they can focus on those people who could not help themselves. We're in a small town, and my 2-year-old spots a fire truck sitting out in front of the fire station, and he loves them. And he's about ready to crawl out the window. He said, "Oh, rescue team!" Then he notices that the fire station's damaged. He's like, "Oh no, rescue team's hurt. Who's going to help?" My 4-year-old doesn't miss a beat. Us. And that's why I take them. That is why I take them. You can't tell a kid to be a good person. You got to show them. 4-year-old understands that at some point and at some times it's just us. There is no Big Daddy government coming to help you. Here's the thing, guys. It's up to you. It is up to you. If not you, who? Who's going to solve the problems? If it's not you. You personally. Not your representative. You. You got a problem in your community, fix it. Do it yourself. Do not wait for a leader. Don't wait for some savior to arrive. Don't be afraid. Put out the flame with your foot. Get involved. You want to make America great? It isn't going to happen in D.C. It's going to happen at the local level. It's not a matter of somebody else is going to help it. That may not happen. If not you, who? Make sure that somebody else is helping before you just walk on by. There are people still out there like that. This little supply depot I've been going to, it's at a place called Project Hope Incorporated. Now, under normal circumstances, these guys work with vets, and they use horses. Kind of cool, to kind of provide a cathartic experience. Interesting little concept, and they do good work, according to everybody that I've talked to that has ever had anything to do with them. They've turned their entire facility into a supply depot to help people. And you need to think about that. Supplies coming in to a non-government location. Non-government people getting to where it needs to go. Now, for those who don't think that this is something their kids need to learn, what are the side effects of learning survival skills? You learn to critically think, problem solve, think on your feet, improvisation, self-reliance. These are the side effects. It's worth doing. How do you engage the youth in learning survival skills? We're going to start off with the don'ts, and there's just one. There's just one that I see commonly that people do. Don't try to toughen up your kid. Don't. Just don't. Teach them the skills. Make it fun. If they have to suffer, they just have to suffer. In a survival situation, you don't have to practice how to suffer. So what's the first thing you should do? Get a copy of the U.S. Army Survival Manual and read it. You can buy it at any local bookstore. If you just want to download it, you can get it for free at archive.org. I would suggest getting a hard copy and keeping it just in case. We want to make it fun. Your kid sits around and plays video games all day. Don't yell at him to get off and go outside. What are you playing? Fallout? You want to learn how to do that for real? Play with their interests rather than just trying to hand them a new one. Just find some way to relate it. That's all you have to do. And then it makes it a little bit interesting, and then it's a little less of a problem getting them involved. And then from there, you've read the book. So come up with hip pocket classes, little activities that can be done at the drop of a hat. Organize them ahead of time. Little things that you can do to teach them little bits and pieces of it at a time. So it's not a classroom setting. It's them doing something with you. A good example is you're away from your home. Right now, where can you find food, water, fire, shelter, a knife, and a first aid kit? There are little chemistry sets, STEM sets, where you actually learn to build something. You know, you build a battery, or you start a fire with a chemical reaction, or whatever. Those little things, they're cheap. They're like $5. Get them, do that one. Use that to teach something else along the way. Just make it fun. And for God's sakes, do not try to toughen up your kid. They don't need to be tough physically. They need to be tough mentally. And they'll figure that out along the way. When people start to learn survival skills, they start to look at the world in a very, very different way. They see the impossible as possible. They see what things could be if you looked at them in the right way. And they learn what's really important in life. Supplies are pretty much everywhere. You just have to know where to look and how to think about them. After Michael, there was a group of people that was sheltering in a restaurant, and they needed medical supplies. Nothing major, but they had an injury. It never occurred to them that there was a first aid kit in the kitchen, because they were up in the front of the house. There was a first aid kit. There was what they needed 15 feet away. But we're so used to that consumer life that if we didn't buy it, it doesn't exist type of thing, that they never thought about it. Prior to Michael, I watched two people argue over water in a store. And they were between a display of Gatorade and a cooler full of Milo sweet tea. If you were just looking for something cheap to flush your toilet, the sweet tea would have worked. If you were looking for something potable water, the Gatorade would have worked. But people get in that mindset of, I have to get water. No, you have to get something wet. Beyond that, it teaches you to improvise. And that's one of the most important skills in life, in my opinion. It's one of those things that lets you see what things could be rather than what they are. And when you do that, you start to see everything around you, this is a battery if you can't tell, as components rather than some finished consumer product. You learn to improvise. And when you do that, you learn to see the world in a different way, because things can be something else. I think it's really important for the youth of today to learn survival skills for that reason. Because I think with everything going on in the world today, it might be really important for them to understand that the impossible is possible. And that the way things are isn't what they have to be. That they can change it. That they can use the tools around them to make something else. Anyway, it's just a thought. Y'all have a good night.
Alrighty, a lot of good points there. A lot of good points. And I do like how he, really emphasized on, not focusing on toughening your kids up. And really, really good that he made a point that as far as being tough, they're going to need to be mentally tough more than physically tough. And the physically tough is going to come, okay? It's going to come. But it's the mentally tough that is going to be the hardest thing to overcome. And that's why I always tell people now, I've got that list of priorities, and I haven't mentioned that list in quite a while. Probably time I do that once again. But my priority list is number one, most important, you have to be spiritually prepared. You have to be spiritually prepared because, after SHTF, you're going to have multiple moments that you just aren't going to have anywhere to go with your thoughts. I mean, it's just going to be, whether it's nerve-wracking, whether it's depressing, whether it's, angering, whatever the case may be, it will overtake you. And so if you are spiritually prepared, you can put that all out there. And believe me, it makes a world of difference. I wouldn't be able to deal with day-to-day life if I didn't have that ability, if I didn't already spiritually prep myself. Second most important prep, mentally. You have to be mentally prepared, because it doesn't matter what you have. It doesn't matter what you know. If you lose your mind, if you lose your head, you're useless. You're useless. So that's why it's important to be mentally prepared, because as long as you can keep your cool and think out a situation, you've already won more than half the battle. Okay? And then directly from there is now I'm even getting lost here. Spiritually prepared, mentally prepared, knowledgeably prepared, okay? The things you know, because it doesn't matter what you have. Those things are going to, at some point, be lost, get stolen, break, whatever the case may be. And you're going to need to know how to adapt and improvise. Without those skills, you're going to be in trouble. You're going to be in serious, serious trouble. So knowledge is more important than even the shiniest of toys, okay? Knowledge is key. And then lastly, and this is why so many people, they just have a hard time grasping my priority list when it comes to preparedness. Lastly is physically prepared. And that's important. All of them are important. But you have to start out with that spiritually prepared. Even if you're not a believer, you can still be spiritually prepared. You can still look to something bigger than you. Okay? And that's what's important. That's what's important. Understanding that there's something that you're fighting for, that you're working for, that is much, much bigger than you. It keeps your head in the game. Truly does. And like I said, the mentally prepared, because if you can't think straight because you're so mad or you're so upset or whatever the case may be, you're in trouble. You're in trouble. The other two just should make sense. Knowledgeably prepared. Physically prepared. So I need to probably go over that way more often, because I think a lot of people get their priorities mixed up. I wouldn't be doing the things I'm doing today if I didn't already have those things in place. And believe me, I've got a lot of knowledge that I have to learn yet. A lot. But I can only take in so much. And believe me, I try to learn as much as I can. There's a lot to know. There is a whole lot to know. And I know that I'll never, no matter how hard I try, I'll never be able to know all of it. But I want to be able to know just enough of it that if it was down to Jen and I and Blue, that I would know enough. That I would know enough. And I've got a little ways to go yet, but I'm getting there. I'm getting there. It's important. Very important. Anyway, let me grab you guys another video. Oh, man. Let's see. Oh, Iraq Veteran 8888 has a gun gripe today. So we are going to check that out. Let me make sure I get that out of there. Okay. Channel's Iraq Veteran 8888, and the video is titled Gun Gripes Number 214, Hong Kong Pleads for Freedom.
Welcome back, everybody. This is Eric and Chad here with Iraq Veteran 8888. Today we've got another gun gripe episode for you, and we are going to be talking about the unrest going on in Hong Kong. This is not going to be a very easy thing for us to talk about because there's a lot of emotions flaring from many different sides on this issue. But we thought that we would expand on it because it's important to show some solidarity with freedom-loving people around the world. And it's an important talking point that's totally related to firearms ownership. And maybe this will open your eyes to some things that maybe you've never considered. So we definitely want to take a moment to thank the kind folks at SDI for supporting Gun Gripes and allowing us to continue life. Putting these videos out raw, unfiltered, straight from the heart. They have excellent gunsmithing programs. Totally a great group of people worth looking into. So let's dive into this thing. I mean, I know you guys have probably seen a ton of news coverage where people are obviously getting shot, tased, pepper sprayed, or worse out in the streets of Hong Kong. And it breaks my heart. It really does. It takes a lot to offend me. And it takes a lot to surprise me, okay? I'm not an easily offended person, not by a long shot. But when I see a citizen of Hong Kong holding up a flag that belongs to my country, and they're begging for freedom, begging for the Second Amendment, because they want to be able to protect their way of life and to protect their very lives, right? It's a very touching thing, and I felt that more importantly than anything else, it was important in this video for us to show solidarity and love for those people, because you know, when you live in a country that has so many freedoms and they're so held in high regard all around the world, that someone wants to completely cast aside their own existence and identify with that freedom that you have, it should be a very humbling wake-up call to people that live here that want the very freedoms that they're begging for to go away in their own backyard. You know, it's very, very, very sad, and it's a tragic situation. Okay, now there are many political things in play in Hong Kong that we will discuss a little bit, but I wanted that to be kind of the main view of this video. Is there are so many anti-gunners here in this country that want to see the Second Amendment go away. They want to look at firearms ownership as an antiquated talking point that doesn't have a place in modern society anymore. But yet, here you have these people that are begging for the tools to defend themselves against a tyrannical government. And I would really hate to see a situation on my soil where we're in a position where a compromise such as that has to take place. We should never have to compromise with tyrants. No free person in this entire world should have to compromise with tyrants. And that's why the Hong Kong protesters hold up the American flag, because they view it as a beacon of freedom, and they view it as the birthplace and home of free people born with an unalienable rights given to them by their Creator. And that's a very important and touching thing to see. You know, when I saw that, I just didn't know what to think. So,
what makes it sad, like Eric said, is to see people here in our own backyard who are protesting against the freedoms that we have and wanting a more socialist, more communist regime to rule over them and give them everything that they need. You know, unknowingly submitting themselves to be 100% subjects and no longer citizens of a free country. That's the sad thing to me. And like Eric said, people begging to come into this country, and there's not enough visas for folks to come in legally. And you have people that will, you know, they'll commit suicide because they're so saddened that they can't come here to this country. And that's a fact. And
it happened to a friend of ours.
Yes.
And I don't want to, out of respect for his family, I'm not going to mention his real name, but our buddy, we had a buddy from Germany, and he committed suicide. He wanted to come here so bad. He loved us, loved this country, loved visiting us, and we loved having him over here. He's such a nice guy. And we got a call from his father, and he couldn't handle it. He ended it, and very, very tragic. But I remember the last conversation I had with him. He said, I love you guys. I want to be here. I want to be American. He wanted to come to our country so bad and couldn't get a way here, you know, and it bear down on him so much that he had to end his life. And I have to live with that, because it's like when you're responsible for showing people those freedoms and then they can't obtain those freedoms. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's awesome that you change people's hearts and minds, but then it's tragic when, you know, you almost feel a little responsible. I have to live with that, you know what I mean? Like, he was such a good dude, and he loved our country, loved being here.
Yeah, I mean, I hate bringing it up, but
me too.
It's a point that needs to be made. And anybody who thinks that it's okay to live under that sort of tyranny, you're wrong. You are 100% wrong. But a little history lesson of Hong Kong, if you guys don't know. All right, so Hong Kong was under British rule for a long while. That ended in the late 90s, okay, when control of the country, because Hong Kong is kind of this own little independent nation state within, you know, the Chinese kind of peninsula there, and they have enjoyed a number of freedoms that the mainland Chinese don't get to enjoy. They had a different electoral system. They had a few other things that were afforded to them that they enjoyed. A very decent way of life.
Even, and I feel like this is really important to mention. I'm sorry to interrupt,
go ahead.
But it's important to mention internet access.
Yes. Exactly.
That's a huge, huge thing.
Access to
Hong Kong
the world
has access to the outside world, whereby mainland China does not.
Yep.
That's very important here.
But control of Hong Kong was turned back over to the Chinese, okay? And the Hong Kongers, The people of Hong Kong were very dissatisfied with several laws that were being implemented or proposed changes and such, and they protested numerous times throughout the early 2000s up into the 2014 area. There were more protests and stuff, and the most recent thing was the proposal of this extradition bill that really set the wheels in motion again, and that's where all of these huge protests have been stemming from. They want their freedom. They want to be free of the tyranny of mainland China and that government bearing down on them. And it is a sad state of affairs when they want that freedom that we enjoy and that we take for granted, that a lot of people here take.
Mainland China absolutely restricts access to many, many, many things, especially when it comes to access to information and the freedom of exchange of information. If you take the sub or the train or whatever over from Hong Kong to mainland China, you get to a point, it's like it just turns off, bam. You were accessing YouTube, Facebook, all of these really cool things, and all of a sudden, blacked out. Like, they censor that stuff because they don't want people having access to information. They want to be the household information. It comes from the state. It doesn't come from, you wanting to free your mind and free your thoughts and to have a different perspective. They want to control the perspective. That's why all of this censorship stuff is really, really scary that's going on in the U.S., right? Google, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, all these social media outlets have attempted, very difficulty, I might add, which is good, that it's been hard for them, but they've made very legitimate attempts to shadow ban us, to censor us, to make sure that our content doesn't cross-populate amongst other non-gun areas, right? So, what they want to do is put us sort of in a vacuum to where we're only, talking to our own people that we've ever only talked to before and not reaching a new and different audience. And then on the other side of the situation, they want the people on the left that have extremely opposing views to us to have a huge soapbox that goes out to millions and millions of people and then restrict our access to those people by way of shadow bans, by way of dirty algorithms. These things are real things that are happening here in the U.S. China also implements, which we've already done a video on it. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it, so go and check out the video. They are implementing, starting next year, a social credit system. Okay, so like a fiscal credit system that gives you a number based on your credit worthiness, right? We have that here in the U.S., right? You have a credit score. A social credit score grades you based on many, many different social factors, such as the company you keep, the posts that you make on social media, the habits you might have, whether you drink or smoke, whether you're married, whether, in some cases, whether you may be a homosexual versus someone who's straight, or any other amount of different factors that they could use to determine your worthiness from a social rating. The lower the social rating, the less goods and services you have access to as a citizen. The higher the social rating, of course, the higher the social rating, the more goods you have access to as a citizen. That's scary stuff. Hong Kong, the citizens of Hong Kong, I should say, they don't want no part in that. They've lived under this wonderful freedom, had relatively open access to many things within their society. And of course you don't want those things taken away. Nobody wants that.
Well, let's see. You just said you said the main thing there that needs to be brought to the surface here in this video. Hong Kong citizens of Hong Kong. What do you have in China? Subjects.
Yeah.
I mean, but the protests and stuff, there's recent protests that are getting wild. I mean, like Eric said,
they're throwing Molotov cocktails.
Guys are getting
throwing
shot.
firebombs.
Yep.
We're talking about the protesters. Yep. They're using laser pins. I know you've probably seen all the. So China just made a recent post. Oh, now we're considering a citizen that has a laser pin it's a weapon.
Yes.
Because they showed a little thing where at real close you will burn paper. Oh, you're burning the police officer's eyeballs out, and they're shining them up at the security cameras and said, it's damaging the security cameras.
Well, of course it's damaging the security cameras.
Yeah.
I mean, duh.
The thing is, though, there's no firearms ownership in Hong Kong. So remember, when you see all of these things that are going on, the one thing that you have to keep in the back of your mind is history is doomed to repeat itself if we don't learn from it. History has taught us that anytime a regime, a government, a group of people restricts firearms ownership to the masses, It always ends in tyranny. It always ends with the boot.
It always ends
Always.
with genocide.
It does. And I worry and I feel for our citizens that are in Hong Kong, these removed Americans. That's the way I look at it. Being American is in your heart. It's not where you are, right? I mean, now granted, some of us are born here, but some of us aren't. Some people are just born with a freedom in their mind that they know they just want to have, right? They identify with that freedom and they want that freedom and they want to be a part of it. So they're removed people. You can't look at it from a perspective anymore where it's like, oh, well, those people are all on the other side of the world and they don't matter. They do matter, okay? We can't just leave these people behind, and it's sad. I mean, when you look at social media, there's tons of Americans that are like, ship them crates of guns and stuff. I mean, yeah. Of course our answer is, ship them crates of guns, but now obviously all that stuff will get seized, but there is something you can do, okay? Believe it or not, there's something you can do. There is a group of folks, and I don't know their names off the top of my head, but we'll try to get the information for you. They are sending medical supplies over to the citizens of Hong Kong. I'll try to maybe share some information. Look, go follow us on Instagram and Facebook. Make sure you follow us on those two outlets because we always share lots of information related to these videos that don't make it into the actual video. So there is a group of people that have been sending medical supplies. So maybe we'll donate some medical supplies, or we'll have an area where maybe you can donate a few bucks to go towards medical supplies. And that's a way that you can directly help the folks in Hong Kong, at least with medical supplies. All right, so that's pretty much it for this video, but anything else, Chad?
No, I mean, not really. The only thing I can think of is, America. I mean, we're not a perfect country. No country in the world is perfect, but, we've made some mistakes, but I'm blessed to have been born here. And I think a lot of people feel that same way too. And, we're the most hated country in the world for a reason.
But
everybody wants to be here.
We may be the most hated, but people always do typically align themselves with our values at some point.
Yep.
The bad things have to happen for long enough to enough generations before finally they go, you know what?
I'm tired of this crap.
These freaking Americans over here eating McDonald's, a bunch of fat, whatever. You know what I mean? They're thinking, well, they may not be making the best lifestyle choices, but they are free. Freedom does have a certain flavor that, unfortunately, there's a lot of folks that will never truly know, and that's tragic.
Yeah.
It's very tragic. I just can't wake up and go about my day and not think at some point, like, man, somewhere, someone in this world is hurting, and there's no reason for it, like, other than they just have no freedom. And gosh, it's tragic.
Well, see, Eric has experience too because he's been around the world a bit and he's seen the way other people live. And like stories I've heard, like, I don't want to live like that. I don't want to live under that government. I mean, I don't want no part of that. You
don't.
That's awful.
It is awful. So we wanted to make this video mainly as an olive branch to our, our folks in Hong Kong who are hurting, and we feel for you. We're very, very, trust me, not every American's living under a rock. We know what's going on. We listen to you guys, and we feel for you. We know it's a very trying situation. I actually have a close friend of mine who is from Hong Kong originally. Her father still lives in Hong Kong. So I get to hear this from her just about every week. I'll get a message from them, and they're like, hey, this is what's going on, and her dad is scared, and that hits close to home. Is these people are my friends, they're my colleagues, right? These folks I'm talking about, and they deal with this every day, and her father is telling her, this is scary, I don't know what to do, and it hits close to home when it's someone that you know really well too. So we feel for y'all, and we want y'all to be free, and we hope that it all works out. And all we can do is keep our eye on it and see how it goes. But we wanted to make this video as an olive branch just to let you know that there's a lot of us that understand what you're going through, and we hope that life gets better, and maybe they change their ways. We'll see. But thank you so much for watching today's video. We really appreciate the support. All of you who purchased t-shirts, man cans, knives over on the website, Reef Koreans.
That's
Look
a
at
new one.
That is a new one. That's been a popular
Fresh.
shirt. Go over to Ballistic Ink, grab a shirt. If you love what we do and you'd like to support us, that's one of the most direct ways you can support us is through the purchase of t-shirts, man cans, or you can go over on Patreon, donate a few bucks each month. All those funds go right back into supporting our efforts. Thank you so much for being a part of what we do. Thank you for watching. Many more videos on the way, and we'll see you guys next time.
Alrighty, and with that, even though it's a short night, we are going to get out of here, and we'll see you tomorrow at the normal time. So I appreciate everybody coming. Sorry I started so late. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Hope to see you then. As always, God bless you. We love you, and be one with your spirit.